Okay, so I came in this morning to the gym and there was nothing on the ground. The snowstorm, yeah, moved it a little bit quicker. It's crazy, I know, same. And I came out and this is what I saw in just 2 hours. It came a little bit earlier than planned. So I normally wouldn't take the Mustang out in this, but got a little bit caught. So let's see how we do. I thought I'd do the video how it does in the snow. So stay tuned. So you can see right now the roads here have been treated so they're clear, but it's that kind of slushy stuff, which is pretty slick. So this is what I'll be driving in. And just warming up to the car now because I did a quick start. So it should be nice and warm. And I'm gonna have to clear the snow off. So here we are, here's my baby now. Looking good, nice and warm and toasty inside. Got a good, about an inch on her right now. And you can see this is the untreated road, so it's not too bad, but very slushy. Here's a view from the front. So you can see we already got about 2 inches on the ground. There's the front of the car, so I'm gonna clear it off and then I'll come back and show you where we are. Okay, you can see how thick the snow is, and I cleared everything off by hand just now, but you can see how hard it's coming down. It's already getting caked again. But that remote start is key, guys. I know the manual guys don't have it, but the remote start is key because it gets the car warmed up. That way you don't have to scrape. Everything is nice and melted by the time you get in the car. See, I need to clear my lights again real quick. But otherwise, looking good, and let's get on the road and see how it handles. Okay, in the car, you can see it's really coming down. It is really coming down. Again, a little bit more than they had expected. So naturally, I'm gonna go into my different mode here. Watch the mode selector there. And I'll go from normal to my mode, drag strip, and then I'm gonna go on snow and wet, snow and wet. So that's the mode that I recommend everyone use in this kind of weather. I do have all-season Pirelli P0 Nero tires, and they're supposed to have good grip in the snow. So here we go, let's see how it happens, how it handles. Donut there. All right, here we go. Now you can see in this section, the roads are pretty well treated, but still very slushy, it's still very slippery. So I was taking it easy. It looks like I'm going fast, but I'm actually only going between 30, 35 miles per hour, or just over 45 kilometers per hour. But as you know, the Mustang is nice and low, so it gives the impression of speed. But again, here I'm staying in the ruts and just being careful of the slushy bits. And then in a moment, you'll see some areas where the road was a lot more snowy. Looking good so far. Still in snow and ice mode. Still really nasty out there, but you can see here, the roads are a lot more clear. So these are generally not a problem. They're still very slick though, you have to be careful. Okay, so now I'm in an area where it's very slushy. There is a coating of snow and ice on the surface of the road. And even though it's been treated, the snow is falling fast enough to where it's recoating the road. So here, again, it looks faster than it is, but I'm at a minimal speed, being very careful. What impressed me most here is that, again, the car feels very stable. I think the fact that we are low and wide is a huge benefit. I never felt top heavy, and I never felt like I was skidding around. A similar section here, you can see that it's a mix of slush and sleet and snow, and very, very slick out there. But every time the car would lose a little bit of grip, the traction control light would turn on, indicating that the car is obviously righting itself and correcting itself. And so, hey, Ford engineers, well done. Whatever you did on the traction control is perfect, because it always brought the car back to a very stable type of control. And then I'll just stop here. And even on this hill, starting out was not a problem at all, almost no slip. So finally we get to some roads that are
not very clear at all. And you can see here that I'm driving on top of snow and slush, and again, taking it easy. But I felt confident enough to go at a fairly decent speed, as you can see here, because again, the car was giving me confidence. That is what I think is the most important message, perhaps, to take away from this video, is that I had confidence the entire time, keeping in mind this is a real rear-wheel drive car. And yes, as I said many times, I do have all-season Pirelli tires, but I still never felt like I was going to get stuck. And even when things got very slippery in the really icy sections, I just took it easy, and the traction control put enough torque into the wheel that it made it quite easy to move along. I imagine on steep, twisty, windy roads, that would be another story. But here on kind of generally hilly roads, it was absolutely fine. So the next section here is in my neighborhood, and the roads haven't been treated yet or plowed yet. And so I was able to get a pretty decent feel. What I'm doing now is I'm going outside the ruts to see how the car handles. And here I'll come to a stop in a moment, and then I'll do a start in the actual snowy bits to see if I lose any traction at all. So here I come to a stop, complete stop, and then I actually gun it pretty hard, and the car just will not let me do a burnout, or won't let the rear wheel tires slip because, again, of the traction control. So you can press really hard on the pedal and it'll accelerate just fine. And then I took the corner, of course not when there's cars around, but pretty quickly to see if it would slip. And once again, traction control kicked in. Obviously I'm being careful, but again, it was absolutely fine. And I would even say better than fine. So I was very impressed. But please, please, in your own areas, take caution and use your best judgment.
And this is the car after all nice and cleaned up in the garage. Safe and sound. Yes, I always clear my roof. I'm not one of those jerks who leaves ice on their roof. Don't you hate that? I hate that too. Did really well in these pretty challenging conditions. Yeah. It's all about the tires, guys. It's all about the tires. So in conclusion, Mustang does great in the snow on several conditions. Put it in snow and ice mode, keep the traction control on unless you want to do donuts somewhere in a remote area without people around. And tires, it's all about the tires. So again, I'm running Pirelli P0 Nero tires, all season tire. It almost gave me the impression of a snow tire. It's really, really good in bad weather, rain, and then especially snow and ice today. It wasn't thick snow, it was a slush mixed with ice. So I would say that's even probably more of a challenging condition than just regular snow. Snow usually has a good amount of grip to it. So again, it did really well. It exceeded my expectations actually. And whenever things got a little out of control, the traction control came in and handled things beautifully. It's a really good traction control system on the car. It's the first time I really tested it at that maximum. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll look for some more from me, okay? See you soon.